Kia ora. Today I'll be going over some Indigenous approaches and values around soil building and soil management. For tribal cultures, the health and well-being of people are inseparable from the health and fertility of soil and the whole natural environment. From our traditional worldviews, soil, rocks, mountains, lakes, rivers, forests and seas are all imbued with a life force, which we call here a mauri, and different elements of the natural world are also personified as deities or guardians. The land, earth and soil is regarded as like our primeval mother, from which we and all life is descended from, and which sustains all life. So we're deeply connected to the soil and to our land spiritually. Traditionally, we use the term ahufinoa to refer to agriculture and farming, but its original meaning actually places more emphasis on the act of cultivating the soil, the earth and the land rather than the plants. And that's because for us the focus of gardening and growing healthy plants and food is all about cultivating healthy soil. It's all about protecting and enhancing the mauri, the fertility of the soil and the whole natural environment, because fertility means life. One of the traditional ways to do this was through a rotational agroforestry system, sometimes labelled as shifting cultivation. So a patch of forest would be cleared or burnt and used for mixed cropping for a couple of seasons, and then left to rest for up to 10 years to regenerate and reforest itself. So this period of regrowth would actually stimulate biodiversity, attracting wildlife which could be then hunted or trapped. It especially stimulated the growth of pioneer or succession plants, which are often the most medicinal ones. So even though the plots were in a fallow regenerating phase, they could still be very productive. The fallow cycle would then return to a cycle of crop rotation for a couple of seasons before being left to regenerate again. And deliberate burning was another traditional land management practice in many Indigenous cultures, which not only promoted fertility but also a way to prevent massive bushfires. Fertility could also be enhanced through practices such as soil amendments and mulch being added both into and on top of the soil. A good example of this in the Pacific is with growing taro, which grows best in consistently moist and very rich organic soil like what you get in swamps. So mulching the surface with coconut or banana leaves used to help to maintain the soil moisture, and they still practice this even to this day. And this practice kind of mimics what nature does by creating a forest floor mulch layer made up of fallen leaves and wood that is broken down by worms, fungi, microbial life, and just the natural elements over time to form this rich, dark humus that in turn feeds the trees and plants. So we can speed up what forests do naturally by regularly pruning and trimming vegetation and laying it around your fruit and nut trees and shrubs and stuff. It's always good to have fast-growing plants or trees or grasses that provide heaps of biomass, and you can also get arborists to deliver your piles of tree mulch, and they'll often do it for free. What the biomass or mulch does is not only builds fertile soil, but it also insulates the soil and holds in moisture, eliminating the need to irrigate. And in this garden here, the only water it gets is from rain, and having chickens free range in your system can also help to break down and fertilise any mulch biomass or kitchen scraps that you chuck around in your plantation. Another common practice, an indigenous practice, was to use ash and coal to amend the soil, and probably the most famous example of this was the terra preta soils of the Amazon. So wood was burnt and then mixed with compost and bits of broken shells, bones, pottery and food scraps to create a real thick biochar. One of the most important aspects of indigenous agricultural systems is that there's no ploughing of the soil, no chemical fertilizers, no herbicides, fungicides or insecticides or anything like that, no fossil fuel machinery or tools, and no artificial irrigation systems. It's all natural, and all of those practices are actually quite detrimental to fertility, to the soil ecology, and not only that, they're sort of unnecessary for growing healthy food. The other thing is they also increase your workload, which is not really what we're about when you're living in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. The 40-hour work week and the whole idea of working yourself to death in some menial job was kind of something that was introduced to us here to make us all civilized and stuff. But I think it's better just to live off the land and have a bit of more of a meaningful relationship with nature, rather than being kind of like a slave to the market system and all that. Indigenous cultures also had a number of practices around soil management. So organic soils are often washed downhill by rain and deposited in swamps and valley floors, floodplains and basins, and so it's no coincidence that these kind of fertile areas have always been prime horticultural locations for cultures all over the world. And many tribal societies understood the importance of managing and preventing soil runoff by building things like basins and kind of like swales and especially terraces to prevent soil and debris being washed away. And depending on what local materials you have, you can lay simple log terraces like these ones here along your contours. Wood ones like this will eventually break down, decay and decompose, so they also help build up your soil as well. Most Pacific Island countries are volcanic, so we tend to have these volcanic rocks lying all over the place, so we traditionally use them for terracing our plantations or for lithic mulching, as well as for cooking, like in the umu or the hangi. And the benefits of having rock terraces is that they provide a bit of thermal heat to your garden bed. So that's it. Just look after your soil, following these simple organic practices, 1,000 years old practices. So in return, your soil will look after you. Mauri tau, mauri oho, mauri ora.